Guys, how's it going? It's Al. League winning running backs are the topic of today's video. I'm going to take a look at some guys. I think I've got like 5, maybe 6 of them. I don't know. I lose count of them. It's a top 5 plus 1. Let's call it that, right? And actually, it's a top 5 plus like 3. It's a whole thing. I'm sorry. This is the way I'm doing this video. It is what it is. We're going to take a look at running backs that I think can help you win your league. Most of them being drafted later in drafts. None of them are being drafted as RB1s. So we're looking at guys that are being drafted a little bit in the middle rounds, later rounds, that if they get themselves into a healthier lion's share of the snaps and touches at running back, all of a sudden, these guys, as the summer moves along, will fly up in terms of ADP. And if you're drafting early like I am, you get a massive discount versus the later ADP. Or if it happens during the season, those are the guys that win you leagues. James Conner, a couple of times, one last year, and then a couple of times a couple of years ago when Le'Veon Bell sat out. We've seen it with plenty of running backs over the years. A long time ago, Martin, we saw it with Terrell Davis. We've seen it a ton with these running backs that come in because the running backs have a 40% fail rate. The guys who start the season do not finish the season as a starter. And if you drafted their backup or you drafted somebody who works their way in to a down the stretch role, CJ Anderson did it a couple years ago. Sony Michel worked his way into that situation. Those are the guys that win you leagues. So we're going to focus on those types of players, on good offenses that should move the ball, that are being drafted a little bit too late, who could explode and get you that 10 plus touchdown season. So thank you guys for watching the video. Drop a like on the video, reply down below, share the video would be great. Would really appreciate that as well. Subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go.
He's a legend.
Let's jump right into it with Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott is being drafted as the RB16 right now with an ADP of 41.1. I've said this in numerous videos already. Look at his numbers from last year. These numbers on the screen from the DraftKings player card clearly include the playoff game that he had with 18 games played, as you can see down here. But 1,000 yards from scrimmage, 1,000 yards rushing, 284 in the pass game, caught 50 balls, 12 total touchdowns on the year. Rumors of his demise have been greatly exaggerated because everybody thinks that Tony Pollard is going to take the job from him. I think that Tony Pollard is fantastic. I honestly think that Tony Pollard is a more efficient and better running back than is Ezekiel Elliott at this point in their career. But it's not like Ezekiel Elliott's like 35 years old. He's 1 year older than Tony Pollard. He's still the main guy in this offense. He still projects to get you 300 touches this year on the ground and in the air, with the massive lion's share of the inside the 5 touches, a great chance at double-digit touchdowns once again, and not playing on an injured knee like he did last season, where he was very inefficient and everybody said, oh, look, he's getting old. He's not old. He was hurt and playing through it. So now on a healthy situation, on still a very, very good offense and getting all those touches, where I think that Tony Pollard is going to be used more, at least split out wide more this season than last year, with both of them being on the field at the same time. And Tony Pollard being such a great receiver that he is, and having lost Cooper and Ced Wilson and having Gallup coming back from injury, I think Pollard works more in the slot, at least the beginning of the year, and letting Ezekiel Elliott do his thing out of the backfield. So I think that there is big time upside here for where you're getting to draft him. And let's move on to somebody a little bit later, Clyde EdwardsHelaire, who apparently reported to OTAs last year at about 96 pounds. I mean, don't fact check me, but like, he was very light last year. He was having a very bad time health-wise and did not pan out. Was not getting the usage as the season wore on. He clearly wore down. He was not the answer. But this year, there's not much behind him that really threatens me. Rojo has been a good running back, but he's not somebody that I think is going to take the job immediately. EdwardsHelaire still has that upside in the passing game. Even though we did not see it last year at all, I think that the ADP right now is entirely too low. Being drafted as the running back 26 with an ADP of 77, there is upside. We have a lot of meat on the bone here. This Chiefs offense lost a lot of targets when they sent Tyreek Hill off to Miami. Those aren't all going to be soaked up on the outside by Juju Smith-Schuster. They're not going to be soaked up by the rookie that they drafted, Sky Moore. I think EdwardsHelaire actually has a really good shot to pull down 4.5 targets per game this year, get you maybe 14, 15 carries, which is exactly the sweet spot that we want out of running backs, especially in PPR situations on DraftKings, or if you're playing on Underdog in half PPR, it's still entirely useful because of the touchdown upside that exists in that Kansas City offense. We want to focus on running backs playing on really good offensive teams that if they slide into that bigger market share of snaps and touches, if EdwardsHelaire is on the field and gets 70% of the snaps and 70% of the running back touches in this Kansas City offense moving forward, all of a sudden we have a potential league winner being drafted as an RB3. Go check out all the great drafts that they have over on Underdog Fantasy. If it's your first time going there, use promo code ALSMIZZLE. At your first deposit, you will get a deposit match of up to $100 that you can spend on any of their pick'em, the live drafts, Best Ball Mania, which is $2 million to first, $1 million to second, and $1 million being given out to the highest scoring team in the regular season, the weeks 1 through 14. They have the $5 puppies. The first one is already filled. They're going to have more. So for all of your best ball needs, go check out underdogfantasy.com. Miles Sanders is my next running back, being drafted as the RB27, right behind EdwardsHelaire. He should do better than 0 touchdowns this year. I'm going to take the over on 0. A very potent offense that only got better. You have another year of experience for Hurts under center. They added A.J. Brown, and now you have Devontae Smith, a very talented wide receiver in his own right, that should help them keep moving the chains. That's the number one thing in terms of value for a running back, because while quarterback doesn't necessarily 100% correlate with a running back, Sanders, somebody who does correlate a little bit more because of his pass catching ability. Yes, there is the possibility that Jalen Hurts vultures some touchdowns from him, but I don't think that he's going to get vultured as much by his backups as he did last year, with Gainwell taking touchdowns away, with Boston Scott taking touchdowns away. If Miles Sanders has a pathway to 10 touchdowns because this offense is so greatly improved, which it should be with the addition of A.J. Brown on the outside, the grown-ass man himself, that puts Sanders in a position where he might be able to score some more inside the 5 touchdowns, as well as score a little bit more from depth, as he should be running against more light boxes, and the benefit of playing with a running quarterback that keeps safeties and linebackers on their heels, and they can't shoot gaps as aggressively as they would because they have to stay home with the running quarterback. Ramondre Stevenson, with an RB38 price tag and a 118 ADP. I've been all over him, clicking him every time I get a pick in the 120s so far. The price tag is starting to rise. Damian Harris had a good season last year and is a solid running back, but Stevenson is a more dynamic back, better in the passing game, just as powerful inside the 5, and looks a little bit quicker as opposed to the bulldozer that Damian Harris is. If Stevenson wrests this job away from Harris, nobody is going to be the 60 or 70% or 30% guy. That's just not the way that Belichick runs his backfields. But if Stevenson takes a 40% role with inclusion in the passing game, and like he had at the end of last season, ripping down 4 targets and 2 targets in their playoff games, all of a sudden we have a situation where he has massive upside. And if there is at all an injury to Damian Harris, he steps into an even larger role, because as soon as Belichick starts losing toys, market shares of snaps and targets go up. Big time upside for Stevenson himself. Another player that I've been drafting a lot in this range as well, Devin Singletary, the RB33, an ADP of 106.7, which is behind, sounds like a radio station. His ADP is behind the rookie Cook. That's absurd. There's no two ways for me to slice that other than the fact that you have an offense that has been humming for the last 2 seasons. You have a running back who earned a merit-based promotion within that offense, getting the lion's share of touches and taking the job away from Zach Moss during the second half of the season. This was his first half touches. Here were his second half touches. 20 plus touches in most games, with a very big role in the passing game for Devin Singletary, as well as big time usage inside the 5. Look at this touchdown streak that he had from week 15 all the way through the end of the year, with at least 1 touchdown in every single game. You're not just going to bench him for a running back rookie that you drafted. That's just not going to happen. But the market is deciding that, you know what, we know better, and we're going to take the rookie guy, because it's always the Family Guy boat situation, right? We know what Devin Singletary is, and he's really nice. But Cook is a mystery box. And like, he could even beat Devin Singletary. You know how much I've always wanted to draft Devin Singletary. So just draft Devin Singletary, who projects to be the 60 or 65% snap guy from day one. And if he continues to produce like he has at the second half of last season, all the way through the playoffs where they lost to Kansas City in overtime, you have yourself a boat. Just draft the boat. My last guy that I'm going to talk about is actually a three-headed monster. And we're going to start with Chase Edmonds. It's all the running backs in Miami. Okay, we got to discuss all three of them because one of them could turn into a league winner. But I have to frame this discussion around Chase Edmonds, and I'm willing to be wrong here. Chase Edmonds is a good complementary running back. However, Chase Edmonds cannot sustain this sort of usage that he saw in weeks 16 and 17 last year for an entire season. He is best utilized as an 8 to 10 carry, 4 to 6 target back. They have to kind of limit his touches. He's done good in limited spells where he gets up, but this is his wheelhouse right here, which is entirely viable for fantasy, but it's a secondary guy, which leads us to the primary running backs, one of two between Raheem Mostert. And by the way, the ADP on Edmonds is like the 11th round, and Mostert is going in like the 15th, 16th round of drafts. I already see the replies. I see you. I see all of you down there typing right now. I see the 3-dot bubbles right by your name. Mostert always gets hurt. I can't draft him. Okay, I get that. McDonald brought him from San Francisco because he knows that he understands the playbook, can fit in, and he likes his skill set. However, if he's always injured and you can't draft him, draft Sony Michel in the 17th or 18th round of drafts. We know how much he was being written off before last season, and we know how well he did in the weeks where he was the primary guy for the Los Angeles Rams. Showed a lot more viability in the passing game than he had previously been given because he was in that role for Belichick where he was the not pass catching back in that offense. And people said, well, he just can't catch passes. That clearly was not the case. He just wasn't utilized in that way because that's not how that offense worked. But if you plug him in to a role in a McDonald offense, think about how San Francisco ran their offense last year. If Mostert is going to miss time, and if they're going to utilize Edmonds as the change of pace, passing down back, and Sony Michel is going to be getting 20 plus touches in that scheme, he has way more value than his current ADP of like 190 and could potentially turn into a league winner if Mostert sustains another injury, or Mostert could turn into a league winner if he does not get injured this season. That's how you're going to win your drafts, is by drafting these guys that launch themselves drafting these guys who launch themselves into a much larger role in the offense on already predictably talented offensive teams, where you get the more snaps, the more touches that raises the floor, but you already have baked in a running back on a team that could get you 10 plus touchdowns. And that's how you're going to win your league, is by falling into those guys. So plan to be lucky so you can plan to succeed instead of planning to fail. Thank you all for watching. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.